It's beginning to look a lot like Fixmas everywhere you turn. Hey guys, welcome to Scott Hart Voice, the channel dedicated to voiceovers and video games, and welcome back to Satisfactory. And I have done a thing. Oh, I've done a wait, there we go. I've done a lot of thing. So much thing. It hurt my brain putting this together. This is one huge kludgy cluster bomb of an insert bad word here. Let me walk you through this. This is all of the quantum encoding. Okay, I have 8. Yes, count them, 8 train stops. I have the magnetic field generators. I have the crystal oscillators. I have alkali aluminum sheets, which I need to change this to A alum. My bad. A alum. There we go. We have supercomputers, which is not backed up to the stop yet. We have our trigons, we have our time crystals, and we have our quartz crystals, and lastly, our diamonds. Whew! That was a lot. Now, of note, it's important to know, to tell you guys that I am working with 100% default recipes here. I am not using any alternate recipes as of this moment, though there's a good chance I'm going to. Let me walk you through the whole thing. The first thing is this. There are 2 builds that require dark matter crystals. If I remember right, they're the neural processor things and the power shards. And each of them require some amount that I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm creating a number of 27. There we go. 27 dark matter crystals, which requires 27 diamonds, so it's 1-to-1 in that ratio, and 135 dark matter residue. That is getting split into the power shard. Forgot what it was called for a minute. The power shard production. And then also all the way down, yeah, it's the neural processor. And I just remembered something. I actually want these in here. So this has been running for quite some time. There was actually a lull in releasing because of this. Because I like to release the episode the day of or when I'm actually recording the next. And I've had to let this system back up for... what is it? Today's Friday. I started letting this back up on Sunday when I found my error. Guys, when I did computers way over there, way over yonder, I forgot to belt out the outputs of the outside 4. I'm making 12 computers a minute, and I was only outputting 4. So when I started using things more that used computer production, so supercomputers, adaptive control units, assembly director systems, which assembly director systems are computers via its chain, right? Supercomputers, which require computers, but the adaptive control units require computers. It was not keeping up, and it took me a good few hours to track down what was the issue. And as it turns out, only the 2 in the center were wired up to go into storage. Guys, don't make the same mistake I did, especially with computers. It turns out computers are a huge bottleneck if you do not have enough. It took Sunday night through... when did they hit? Last night, right before we were doing Starfares. It was Sunday night through last night before the supercomputers backed up in the, what was it? The assembly director systems? I think is what they're called. It's this build right here, if I remember right. It took and this was like letting it run all day. I turned on the game and just walked away and just let it run and run and run. And That was a long time for it to back up. It was fine before then, but as soon as I started using the adaptive control units again, for... I think it's when I turn on the biochemical sculptors, is with the assembly director systems, and the adaptive control units were being used... What were they being used in? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So, computers were starved for both assembly director systems... Sorry, for assembly director systems in both supercomputers and adaptive control units. And it took a long time for these two to back up. On the plus side, I figured it out, so that's nice. On the downside, it took like 5 or 6 days of just letting it run for it to back up. Yeah, that was a thing. On the plus side, I was able to use that time that it was doing its stuff to try and make this as kludgeless as possible. And it looks crazy, and I'll explain what's going on. Let's start with dark matter crystals. Dark matter crystals are going to be used for power shards and the neural quantum processors. Neural quantum processors? Is that it? Yeah, neural quantum processors. I had that right. Aha, go me. And... Whew. Okay, so every single thing here, the... excuse me. The neural quantum processors, the other two things, the AI director, what is it? AI director? AI something. Maybe AI is spaced? This thing. What the heck is that called? It's a server. Something server. AI expansion server. Why didn't that show up when I did a search for AI? Whatever. The superposition oscillators. Okay. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot going through my mind right now, and I can't remember half of the things, all the things that they're called. So, superposition oscillators, the AI expansion servers, the neural quantum processors, and the power shards. Haha, I said them all. They all require excited photonic matter of some degree. So, I have four converters, all creating the excited photonic matter that they each require in order to do their stuff. They all have a byproduct of whatever they're making, plus dark matter residue. That dark matter residue comes out down this line, and I have 3 valves at each junction, and they all point to going that way. So I have 3 valves pointing that way, there. I have 3 valves pointing this way, there. And I think you get the idea. What the heck is that there for, then? Well, it's in case I need to add to a buffer, or if one of them stops, or have to shut it down, like I had to do with all my power shards. Why did I turn off my power shards? Well, because I have a whole lot of them, and apparently, I didn't realize this, you can't sync them. You can't sync the power shards. I'm like, oh, suck. So, that's fun. Excuse me. But because of that, it means there's less dark matter residue coming out onto the line, because I'm using 135 dark matter residue. This is almost half of it. My synthetic power shards were almost half of the dark matter residue production. So that's where this comes into play. What is going on here is, down here is a pure SAM node going into, I think it's 10. Yeah. 10 constructors to make reanimated SAM. that reanimated SAM runs up to the converter in order to make pretty much however much dark matter residue I need off of the reanimated SAM to inject into this line. The other reason why is because at the very beginning, when there was no dark matter residue in the system to create dark matter crystals with, therefore none of these could turn on. Well, actually, two of them could. This one and that one could, if I remember right. Because these are the two that didn't require dark matter crystals. So the neural quantum processors and the expansion servers. The thing is I couldn't do the expansion servers because I didn't have any supercomputers because they were still backing up down over the assembly director system. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. So what I did is I just used the SAM to inject a bunch of dark matter residue into the system. I have a fluid buffer over here. In this case, it's a gas buffer, and I try to keep it about halfway-ish. This has gone down a little bit, but I think that's because it was... there's a period of time when I shut this off that this wasn't running. So I think because of that, it didn't... It hasn't gone back up to 1200 yet. Because this accelerator here is consuming 135 dark matter residue. So when I turned this off and had not turned that on yet, it was over consuming based off of what was being produced, which would make sense why this isn't half full, but at about a quarter. So, okay, diamonds. They're coming in from the train stop, get mixed in with the dark matter residue to create dark matter crystals. Half of them go to the power shards and half of them go to neural quantum processors. At this point, this is a smart splitter that has the overflow going to this smart splitter, which has the any going into dimensional storage and the overflow going into the awesome sink. I don't know how long I'm going to keep this because I really don't know if I'm going to need dark matter crystals in dimensional storage. In which case, if that's the case, I just take these things apart, take this apart, and just have this belt straight into this awesome sink. That way, this is continuously consuming 135 dark matter residue and the diamonds that are coming in from the train. Next is the power shards. So we have time crystals also coming in. Time crystals are used in two recipes. They are used in the neural quantum processor, as you can see here, and they're also used in the power shards. So I made sure that the consumption of these two was lower than what is being produced over there, and I think it's at like 10 or 15. 15. So I'm using 15 time crystals a minute if they're both running, which right now I haven't found a way to sync these, so this is not running, which means I'm actually only using a total of 5 time crystals a minute, which is fine. Oh, and by the way, I heard that you can use the power shards to boost the power augmenter. And if that's the case, I'm going to see if I can use it as a sink for power shards. I would really like to be able to do that because, number one, it'll boost the rest of the base's system. And number two, I'll be able to have this entire system running at 100% capacity, or as I've set it up, I should say. Number two, they need quartz crystal, so I have a quartz crystal train coming in. Quartz crystal gets routed into there with the dark matter crystals here, and the time crystals here, and here's the excited photonic matter coming in from the converter. Next is the neural quantum processor. Once again, it needs this excited photonic matter, so I have a converter that's pushing it in. Number two, time crystals coming from the drop-off. Number three, fixite trigons coming from the drop-off as well. And then lastly, supercomputers coming in from the drop-off as well. And we are in a positive net of supercomputers coming in. This is good. Earlier today, I think like this morning when it was finally backed up and bringing stuff up, I think it was at like 100. Like when first thing this morning when I launched the game, I didn't check before I went to bed. So yeah. Anyway, the fact that we are now almost an entire full row of supercomputers is very good. It means we're backing up. So the neural quantum processor goes on over to create expansion servers down there. And once again, the dark matter residue goes out into the consume line. Next, dark matter crystals are coming in to make the superposition oscillators. And if I said they were coming in to make neural quantum processors, I was incorrect. They are not. Time crystals are. Dark matter crystals are for the superposition oscillators. Superposition oscillators, getting crystal oscillators from the trains, getting alclad aluminum sheets from the trains, getting dark matter crystals from the dark matter crystal production down there, and once again, excited photonic matter just right down there. Both of these, the neural quantum processors and the superposition oscillators, are wired up eventually into this quantum encoder to make AI expansion servers, but I need to show you what the heck this is. If we take a look at the route coming down here for the neural quantum processors, they'll follow this belt all the way around. This is a final smart splitter to where any overflow will get sunk. But before that, any neural processor will go down into making the expansion servers, but before it makes the expansion servers, it will throw it... sorry. If there's an overflow, it will throw it into the dimensional storage. And right now our dimensional storage is sitting at 24. In case I need them. Once again, if I don't need them, then I'll get rid of this whole part, get rid of that splitter, and it'll just be boom. Go into making AI expansion servers. Otherwise, just get sunk. I don't know the answer because this is the farthest I've ever gotten, like I've said. Number 2, the superposition oscillators, same idea. One conveyor smart splitter, which overflow goes into the sink, and then the next one goes into the storage. We can see that this has been running for quite some time. So if there was any overflow, it would go in to the awesome sink. Otherwise, it's going... priority goes into the AI expansion server production. But if not, it goes into storage. Magnetic field generators coming from down below get dropped off here. And now we're using our magnetic field generators, neural quantum processors, superposition oscillators, and once again, excited photonic matter coming from the converter. And then, once again, dark matter residue going out to the line to being consumed. And once again, this is just to help augment in case anything is turned off. This is at 60 because, once again, I've turned, for the time being, I've turned off power shard production, which is creating 60. So this is what is helping keep it at 100% capacity so we don't run low on dark matter crystals. Oh, and any dark matter, I can't remember if I showed you this, but any dark matter crystal overflow is getting sunk as well. Lastly, any of the AI expansion servers will go into dimensional storage, or they will go down into the train station, which we now have plenty of the AI expansion servers to complete phase 5, which means there is only one thing left to do, and that's the ballistics rocket or whatever the heck it is. So that is that. Whew. Yeah, that took some time. That really sucked. Well, actually, no, it didn't suck. It just took a long time, but it was actually kind of enjoyable. I put on my show. I watch a few different shows while I'm playing, either Stargate or sometimes Big Bang Theory, if I just need a good laugh or whatever. Oh, yeah, we are going to the choo-choo crib. There. So I just put on my show and I get to work. So that is that. What else have I done since the last episode? Besides letting it run, I think that's it. I don't think I've actually done anything besides setting up all the quantum encoding. That was really tough, by the way, getting all the numbers figured out, because I did not have baseline numbers to ever work with. Now that I've played the game, I will have baseline numbers to work with at some point. So that's nice. So we're going to head on back down to the Choo-Choo Crib because it's Fixmas, baby. We're going to go... Excuse me. We're going to get over to the Gold Coast, the southern part of the Gold Coast, where I have set up Fixmas, and I'm going to walk you through it. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Excel spreadsheet because why not? Bruh, why not? And we're going to open up Satisfactory Automation, and this is my Fixmas tab. While we're heading on back to the base, let me show you what I've done. These are all the different items that we will be making throughout Christmas, and I was able to get these get all these items from a previous playthrough where I had already automated it. So that's how I was able to know what can be made, because in my previous playthrough everything has already been unlocked, including all the fireworks. So I have all of them that we're going to be making here, and also I have them going horizontally here. And the way I have it set up is this. I started with, what did I start with? I think I started with just like a random number of fireworks to end with. So this will be making 10 sparkly fireworks, 10 fancy fireworks, and 10 sweet fireworks a minute for each type of firework. So I went with that because the assembler was like 2.5 a minute. So that'll be 2 assemblers overclocked to 200%, boom, done. For that. But I needed to know how much it was going to cost. So for 10 sparkly fireworks, it's 30 tree branches and 20 actual snow. For fancy fireworks, 40 tree branches, 30 bows. Sweet fireworks, 60 tree branches, 30 canes. I think you get the idea. Well, since I knew what I was going to need for all of these, I just decided to say, okay, well, unless there's anything else that uses this, I know what my end target is by just calculating all the values in this column, with the one exception also of the Fixmas Wonder Star. The Fixmas Wonder Star is also an end product of Fixmas. Fixmas has 4 end products that are not used in any other automation: the Wonder Star and the 3 types of fireworks. So I decided, okay, Wonder Star, let's just go for 2. And for 2, once again, 40 candy canes, 10 wreaths. So what I did is I said, okay, tree branches, 75 plus 30 is 105, 40, 60 is another 100, so 205. Well, I'm just going to automate a little bit more, 250. And the reason why is because the default recipe is 10. And if I fully overclock the system, that's 25. So it's just 10 constructors fully overclocked. It doesn't matter at this point because I have so many power shards. I can fully overclock everything in the base. And so 200 Fixmas tree branches for 250 Fixmas gifts. Next, candy canes. I needed 70. So for candy canes, I was like, okay, well, what can we work with? I'm probably going to want a little bit of a surplus, so I said 80. The default recipe, I think, was 10. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 10. And so I just underclocked 10 constructors to 8. And then I just made my way up until there was nothing left to do. Like copper ornaments and iron ornaments, they're only used for the ornament bundle. So I needed 30 of each of those to make 30 ornament bundles, and I needed 30 ornament bundles because I needed 30 ornament bundles for the wreaths. And I'm making 10 wreaths because I needed the 10 wreaths for the Wonder Star. I think you guys get the idea. If you don't, please leave a comment and I'll try and explain it better. But once again, these vertical columns, you summate them, and that is the total of what you need of that particular item. So eventually I went all the base item of Fixmas is the gifts. And so I was like, alrighty, I'm going to have all of these 6 rows here, 4, 5, and 8 through 11. Those are all the base items that are being created off of a Fixmas gift. Summate them, it was 875. So if you are on the Satisfactory Facebook group, I posted this, but I forgot to update this. I think I had it at like 835. And I added a few more things just to have a little bit of a surplus for things that we might need for building. So 875. So let's see. The other reason why this is nice is because it will help you kind of plan out how to do it. Because if you look at this, you have 6 items that are being created off of gifts and nothing else. And I'm using Fixmas to test out a bus. Let's turn off self-driving. I don't want that thing flashing at me and yelling at me. I'm thinking I'm going to do a bus-based base in my next playthrough. I might actually do another playthrough sooner rather than later. Because I think I'd really like to do a bus-based base. Bus-based base. And so I'm using this to kind of flesh out a few ideas. Because I just want to try it. See what it does. The series may go flat. It may only be like 4 episodes long and I say, this is dumb. I don't know. I have no idea. But we're going to go check out Fixmas in a second. First off, we're going to research spatial energy regulation. I've already loaded everything in. Let's go.
Milestone reached. Instant travel between chosen locations will be possible as soon as the main and satellite portals are built and paired. Do not ask me how it works.
How does it work?
Not because I don't understand dimensional dispersal theory and the crosswalk applications of liminal peer-regulated parallel fibrillator nanocells, for example. But because you do not need to know. You go in one end, you come out the other. It's a door. Thankfully, the construction of project part number 12, the ballistic warp drive, can be automated and requires no manual input from you, so I'd say we're relatively safe. If you disagree about my assessment of your capabilities, you are free to attempt a study and replication of either portal or warp technology. After you're done with project assembly.
Uh-huh. Okay. Mark 3 blueprints. I will most likely not bother researching this. Maybe. Just to see if there's... You know what I'll probably do is I'll look to see if there's an achievement for it. If there's not, I'm probably not going to bother with it. Because I really don't want to spend the time going around to get it all. Granted, it is all technically dimensional storage, so I could just pull the stacks and wait for it to fill back up. Maybe I will. I don't know. In any case, we are now going to head... Oh, hold on. Before we head on out, there's something I need to do. The ballistic warp drive. Where are those being made? There they are. Thermal propulsion rockets, already fully backed up. Singularity cells, don't have them yet. Oh, suck. Are you kidding me? Oh. Singularity cells, nuclear pasta, of course, dark matter crystals, iron plates, and concrete. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to automate the ballistic warp drive because I really don't want to add to that train stop way up there. I mean, I guess I could. I could add a 9th train stop and bring in thermal propulsion rockets. The thing is I only I'm only making one superposition oscillator a minute. I'm not making two. This requires 2 for 1. Right now, I'm only making 1 and using 1. I only need 200 ballistic warp drives in order to finish the game. I very well may do the whole idea of 4 containers into a manufacturer to make them and just have them be made right here. And then just bring stuff in that I need, because if I need 200 ballistic warp drives, that means I need 1,000 singularity cells. And a singularity cell, let's just do 1 ratios real quick. So multiply everything by 1,000. Well, let's just do this. Multiply that by 100. So I need 100 nuclear pasta, 2,000 dark matter crystals. Is that 10,000 plates? 20,000 concrete. Oh, that's gonna suck. Oh well. I think I actually have it automated, so I should be able to do it. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I have 2,000 dark matter crystals in storage. I have 100 nuclear pasta. I have somewhere I have 10,000 iron plates, and somewhere I know I'm going to have around 20,000 concrete. So I'm just going to grab them, feed them in to make the singularity cells. After the singularity cells are made, I'll feed them in to make the ballistic warp drives, so then I can go grab the thermal propulsion rockets from the automated station. I can grab the superposition oscillators out of dimensional storage, because I have them in dimensional storage right now. I'll need 200 of them, and then I can do the dark matter crystals as well. I'll need 800 of those. So ballistic warp drives will not have a stop, because I am not doing that. I do not want to have to extend this, but more specifically, the superposition oscillators kind of just threw a wrench in the whole thing. I do not have 2 superposition oscillators a minute to make. So that's not happening. At least automated-wise. That'll be a manually fed automation. And I will take care of that off screen. There's no reason for you guys to have to do that, because I've done that before already. When I started the base down below, when I was doing the initial crystal oscillators, computers, and heavy modular frames. So, let's talk Fixmas. I am excited to show you guys this. I'm really liking the idea of a bus. I've used buses many times in my Factorio playthroughs. Really liked them. When I started my train world, did I have a bus when I did my train world? I don't think so. We definitely did a couple years back when Balder, J-Man, Hypermark, and I all did a Death World in Factorio. We did a bus-based base that time. That was fun. It was tough, but it was fun. We got through it. But I love the idea of buses. I love how it makes it easy to order things. And by order, I don't mean like putting in an order and getting something out. By ordering, I mean laying out your base and doing stuff with it. I really, really, really like how a bus works. You just split you have the main lines of things going down, and you can see it down over there. And you just split things off of it. It is really, really nice. So the other reason why that Excel spreadsheet is really good is because it shows you the first things you need to throw on the bus. Let's pull it up and I'll show you what... Excuse me. Let's pull it up and I'll show you what I mean. Let's not die first. Okay. The base, like I said, the base element of Fixmas is the gifts. So anything that is being made with the gifts should be the very first thing on the bus. So We have 6 things. We have red and blue ornaments. We have Fixmas branches, candy canes, bows, and actual snow. We have the total amounts that we need to make for each of those. And so what I've done is this was a little bit more of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, because in order to make the gift trees, it requires the branches and the red and blue ornaments along with the gifts themselves. And so if you don't already have them, you have to be very careful about how you're using everything here. Let me explain, because if you don't have enough red Christmas ornaments and you need more, and you don't have and you have enough branches, if you've already set up the branch production, you need to cut the input to the branches and let the gifts go down to the red ornaments. Same thing if you're running out of blues or if you're running out of branches. The way I have it right now is branches, candy canes, bows, snow, red ornaments, blue ornaments. And so what I would do is if I had enough branches but I didn't have enough red ornaments, I would cut this line here and this line over here to blue. And then just let all the gifts flow to red. And then I would use the output of the gifts from the Christmas gift trees to go up and go into the red Christmas ornament production. Now, this is 80 Fixmas gift tree worth of production, which is 1,200 a minute, which is exactly what a Mark 6 belt can do. So each tree is 15 items, 15 gifts a minute. And so if you divide 1,200 by 15, that's 80. So I have 20 trees here, 20, 20, and 20. So I have a full belt of gifts. And this is important because when I chose those numbers, I actually got lucky. This was my first attempt of setting up the numbers. I said, okay, I'm going to do 10 of each firework and 2 Wonder Stars. And I did all the numbers, and it turned out to be 875. I was like, okay. I could technically move the fireworks and the Wonder Stars probably up, but I'm already at 60% of the maximum that a belt could do. And the whole premise of what I wanted was I wanted Fixmas to be automated off of one full belt of gifts. No more. And so that's why I'm leaving it to be the way I've set it up with these numbers, because this can be supplied by one full belt of Christmas gifts. And so once again, it tells you what are the first things you should put on the bus. Because after this point, after all 6 of these production nodes, there's no reason to actually have the gifts on the bus other than to actually still have it on the bus. Because nothing else uses the gifts directly, at least for automation. You can actually use the gifts individually for like setting up decorations in the customizer. So if I were to like come over here and say, wait, where's Fixmas? Here. If I wanted to set up the, I don't know, whatever has a Christmas decoration available for it, or a skin, I should say, I would need gifts for it. So technically speaking, there's nothing else automation-wise that uses them. I have them going down to here, but I very well may end up cutting this line and having something else take its place. Or I could also just as well just have everything going down to the end, even if it's not even used. I might do that. What I'm definitely going to do is on the 8th, I believe, is when the next hard drive will be released. I'm going to have my copper coming down over here, probably on the underside, and the iron over here. And what's going to happen is the red Christmas ornaments and the copper are going to go into some foundries to make copper Fixmas ornaments. And same thing over here, blue with iron to make the iron Fixmas ornaments. And I'm definitely going to have the new ornaments, copper and iron, on these outside belts. But what I'm thinking I might do is just have them be on this next tier. And so the red ornaments will be going down, but they'll be on top of them will be the copper ones. I don't know. I may not even do that. I may end up just saying, okay, we're going to free up this lane as well. And instead of red ornaments, it's now going to be copper. I could very well do that. I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind. But the cool thing about it is it's so well organized. It's what I'm doing over here, just not using trains as the transportation network. Because if you look at this, all of these production nodes are decentralized. This is a decentralized production node for Christmas tree branches. This is decentralized production for bows. And every single one of these is a decentralized production node. It has one input or one set of inputs, in this case, gifts, and one output, which is exactly what I've done with the trains up there. Only I don't have to build these massive builds in order to be able to get something built, which I'm actually really happy about. I set this up the other night in a matter of like an hour, maybe two. Really, I don't remember how long it took for all the gifts, to get enough gifts to make all the gift trees. But that night, I was able to get all of this automated in just a couple hours. I set up the whole thing. I didn't even start until I was able to do the ornaments. Once I was able to get the ornaments, I set everything else up, and I did it all in one night. And here's the easy thing about this. And the way I came up with this, I took some inspiration from Neilhouse. If you haven't watched his stuff, I would definitely recommend it. He's a great factory player as well. But what I did is I created a blank blueprint called Bus Production. Excuse me. And what it is, it's a 5x5 slab of concrete on top of some metal pillars, which you don't even need to have. But I have them here because I think, number one, I think they look good. And number two, it also helps with lining things up. But I just created a base blueprint that everything else is based off of. So I could load, like if I'm ready to do, when I'm ready to do the copper ingots, I'll load this up and then I will modify it by throwing some foundries in there, throwing in the inputs and outputs, blah, blah, blah. And then just coming over here and saving the blueprint by changing the name. And when I do that, it creates a new blueprint inside of this section here. So I have a blueprint for the basic bus production. I have a blueprint for candy canes, snow, bows, branches, and ornaments. And the cool thing is this, and I didn't even realize this until after the fact. If they're the same building type, you can just reuse one and just set the recipes and change the blueprint name. I didn't realize this until I did the blues. So when I set up the production for bows, I did this, and I did the exact same thing here as I did here. And if I realized this, I could have just loaded the blueprint for the branches, but changed the productions inside the constructors, and saved myself a huge hassle. So if it's going to be at least the same type of building, even if it's not the same amount or the same item, if it's the same building, you can reuse that. Because each of these is 10 constructors or 10 smelters. And they're different based off of, whether they're underclocked, overclocked, or whatever they're making. Here, these are fully overclocked constructors making gifts. Over here for the bows, they're underclocked constructors making 4 a minute for bows. So I'll have 40 bows, and if I look over here, bows, my target was 40. So I hope this makes sense. Doing the spreadsheet, it tells you, what are the first things you can put on your bus? When is it that you can take something off of the bus and open up space for a new item? Things like that. I can't really think of anything else to say about that right now. But it just all fits, I think is a good way of putting it. And it all fits. So I hope this makes sense. If you, once again, if you guys have any questions about it, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll attempt to explain it further. But hopefully, with this spreadsheet and having seen the initial setup of the bus, I hope this will help explain it. If I were to load my other game and see what the recipes are for foundries to find out what the input and output are, I could technically set up the blueprint for iron, for iron and copper ornaments, just without having the recipe itself. Oh, and the other reason I built this over here is because there's an iron node and a copper node right next to it. Let me show you where they're at. Iron is right there, and copper is right there. Or was it down over there? It was one of the two. I think that's the copper and that's the iron. Either way, I hope this all made sense. There's one more thing that I'm planning on doing, and I think I can actually do it right here. And that is, I need to get some gifts into the dimensional storage. Do I even have any Mercer spheres? I have a Mercer sphere. Okay. Of anything that is used for base building, I always like to have it in dimensional storage. And all of these things, even the gifts, have some type of usage. The gifts are for the skins. Trees, bows, candy canes, snow, they're all used for like snowmen or the candy canes that you can build. Anything like that. Like right here, it's the red and the blue ornaments with bows and canes and snow. Wow. Snowman has a lot. The candy canes, 1 bow, 10 canes. That makes a lot of sense. So hopefully this, I hope this, like I said, I hope this all makes sense, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This really was more of just a figured out kind of thing. Not figured out kind of thing. Oh my gosh, a show you what I've done episode. Because I'm going to, now that everything else is done, and I can just manually feed what I need for those ballistic warp drives, I think I'm going to just set up some automation back at the base. Sorry, back at the workshop is what I call it. My little playground area. I'm going to set that up over there and just have it create those singularity cells and then create the ballistics warp drives. And then we will record a probably shorter next episode, which will most likely be the last episode of this playthrough. I don't think I'm going to be touching nuclear power with this. I had thought that I might, and the more I've thought about it, the more I really just don't care to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. They look amazing. Those those nuclear power plants are stunning and gorgeous. They are absolutely beautiful in design. I don't see any reason to do it in this playthrough, especially considering that I still have like 15 gigawatts to play with. No, even more than that. I have almost 30 gigawatts of power to play with, and I'm just about to finish the game. So, yeah, I'm probably going to call it there. Another reason why is because creating all the electromagnetic control rods that I would need in order to be able to automate the entire production of nuclear power, just, it sounds daunting, and I really don't feel like touching my aluminum production right now. I really don't feel like I want to go in there and up the aluminum production, because if I remember right, electromagnetic control rods use the casings. Control rods. At least I thought it was. Where's my mouse? There it is. Oh. Neither. Okay. Stators and AI limiters. I, for some reason, thought there was aluminum in it. Well, either way, I don't want to expand either of those. So, I'm not going to. What I'll probably end up doing is before I start the next playthrough, and I know I'm going to do my bus-based base, what I'll probably end up doing is this. I'm going to go into a creative world and create all of the different possible blueprints I can think of in a 6x6, because I'm gonna test to see if you have 6x6 blueprints where you've just unlocked the 4x4, if you can use the 6x6 that are in your blueprint book. Because if they are in your blueprint book and you can do that, then I fully plan on creating all of the blueprints that I'm going to need for the entire game before I even start the base. So that will include a 6x2 smelter array, a 6x2 constructor array, one with Mark 1 belts, one with Mark 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, one with every single type of belt that you could possibly have in the game. That way, all I have to do is cycle through, okay, I need a 6x2 smelting array that is using Mark 5 belts. Because one of the things that drove me nuts on this playthrough was when I placed down, after I created the blueprint for the smelting array, I left everything as Mark 4 belts. And every single time I placed it down, I would have to replace all the Mark 4s with Mark 5s. Because I always like to make sure that I have just the highest grade belt available. And that sucked. There's no other way of saying it. That flat out sucked. But if I have all of these in a 6x6, I will know that for every production node that is on that bus, I'm just going to set aside 6 foundations worth of space for that production. And if I need it to go further out, then I just have it go further out. I pinned another one. I'm going to make them tileable to where I can put one at the next end and then just link them up. So there's a lot to do before I start the next playthrough. The other thing is I want to create the spreadsheet for a fully automated base, including in the next playthrough the ballistics warp drives, which means I'm going to have to know all of the different recipes. What are my end goal numbers that I really have to have? If I need to have 3 superposition oscillators in order to make the ballistics warp drives and the AI expansion servers, how do I make 3 superposition oscillators? Stuff like that. So it'll be a lot of prep work before I do the next playthrough, but I think it'll make it really cool. And I might even make it like I don't know if I'm going to say a tutorial, but maybe more of like anyone can play along with it if they wanted. Maybe that kind of idea. I don't know. Either way, I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing everything for the quantum encoding. That was a lot of work. I hope you guys enjoyed that because that was nuts. And also for the Fixmas automation. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that over there too. So if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to please hit that like button and possibly even subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, I'm going to see you guys in the last episode. I can't believe I'm this close to finishing the game. Oh, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys, next episode, I am recording the whole thing. So I'll tell you guys in the beginning of the next one, but I'll tell you now as well, there will be a spoiler alert in effect for the next episode because I do plan on launching Phase 5 and completing the game. All right, with that, I shall bid you all a fondue. You take care. Have a wonderful rest. Whoop. There we go. If you guys didn't need to see the Fixmas numbers one more time, you guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.